What is up, team, and welcome back to the Technical Fowl podcast. I'm Jack Anderson, joined today by JP Pucylowski. How we doing, JP? Also, if you wouldn't mind hitting record when you get the chance.
Oh, that's a good point.
We can be 1 for 3 for Sanders. No Sanders today. He's out of town. Family thing. So me and JP are going to hold down the fort, rattle through some NFL recaps, our general opinion, weekly takeaways. We'll get into the games we previewed on Thursday and break those down specifically, maybe a little more in depth. And then we'll get to what has become my favorite part of the show, both the pyramid and now the totem pole. We'll get those unveiled for y'all and see what they have for us maybe in terms of some bets, both good and bad. See how they compare to Vegas.
Yeah.
How are you doing, JP?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Excited for Christmas, excited for the break. When you head out Sunday, you said?
Sunday, give or take.
Sunday, give or take. Cool. I'm here for a couple more weeks. I'm going to stay here and work, make some money while I can until Cavs close down.
That is fair. For our chatters that are in the chat, we see you. How are y'all doing? Let us know how you're doing. How your NFL weekend went as well.
And let us know if the sound is good.
That's also a good
It
point,
should
too.
be, but we had issues last time. It was just me and JP, so figured I'd go ahead and ask. That being said, your favorite moment from the NFL slate this past week? What do you got?
I'm going to go to fantasy football specifically.
Sure. Do it.
There was a lot of highlights to this weekend for me. I was in a Chromie's already mentioned in the chat, but I was in a winner go home scenario in our keeper league, and we won that. I am in 5 NFL leagues this season, 1 a keeper league and 4 redraft.
Sure.
I made the postseason in all 5.
Well done.
After this weekend, and for the people that like to say that, this sport that is fantasy football, not football, isn't a skill sport and it's just a luck-based sport, you're dead wrong, and I have the data to prove it. 5 teams, 5 very, very different rosters. I probably, give or take 60 or 75 different players on these rosters, and yet 5 postseasons have been reached. So for me, that was the huge highlight. And then last night on Monday Night Football, we had our, as fate would have it, the league that I'm a commissioner of, our 2-11 team and our other 2-11 team played in the final week, and it came down to a Rondé Gadsden on Monday Night Football to decide who was going to be doing the punishment. As the guy who was trailing had a Rondé Gadsden. He was trailed by 5.4 points. Rondé Gadsden had 4 targets, 1 catch. And so we watched that fiasco of a game last night, which that's the best way to describe it.
Agreed.
And the Rondé Gadsden did not get the points required, and so Lizard, that's his team name in the league, will have to do our league punishment. And we couldn't have it a better way. We did it at a big watch party. Everybody was involved in the emotions of the entire week, because
I bet
the guy who had the lead for about 5 or 6 weeks, it seemed like it was pretty much doom or gloom, that it was going to be him that was going to lose the league, and he was able to pull something out of his butt. Michael Wilson was his MVP this weekend, dropped a 37 bomb.
That's what he does.
And then he thought he had it in the bag because he started Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And you start the greatest tight end quarterback duo pair of all time. You think you're going to be in a good spot. Bro, not this year.
No.
You start them against the Texans, but we can lead that into we have to go to your favorite moment. But you start those guys against the Texans, a mid quarterback who is now 7 losses, 6 wins, and an old fart of a tight end who just cares about T Swift more than football, clearly, with the way he's catching balls out there. It's not going to go well for you, and it didn't go well for my friend. But, Jack, what was your favorite moment?
Yeah, we can keep it to last night because it was not as good of an NFL week for me. My team lost in glorious fashion, which we'll get to later. I was in the same spot in the keeper league in terms of win or go home. My team did not win. It dropped an A. I scored 84 points, which was a season low for Team Frederick, which to be expected. I rolled out a very suboptimal lineup for a win or go home week
84 points is tough in a keeper league
with
where
a
we've
super
had
flex.
with the Superflex,
Mhm.
yes, and 2 expansion teams this year, and so you have better rosters
Yeah.
than a couple teams.
I didn't really deserve to go to the playoffs in terms of, if you want to stay general with points for, I would have been the lowest points for team to make the playoffs. So I'm not too broken up about it. It was a little disappointing. So yeah, keeping with Monday night, a gloriously bad game that the Eagles lose, and I'm a Commanders fan, so that caps it off. And I do like Justin Herbert, but just the 4 picks, seeing all the Sully and Mike Wazowski highlights, the pick to the fumble is a great moment, and seeing that
Absolutely.
in Sully's body is even better. James P. Sullivan just is a phenomenal player. Can't even really be mad at Jalen Hurts, honestly, for his performance. I mean, you got to go up against a 9-foot athletic freak on the defensive side.
He's probably the best monster of all time in
Yeah,
terms of scares.
I would say so. Oh yeah,
He's up there in the Hall of Fame, so scariest monster of all time.
and you have
Lines
to
up
go up
there.
against that.
Yeah, and he had a great day. Jalen got benched for Mike Wazowski in the
Sure.
game, and then Mike Wazowski threw a pick. And so Jalen ended up coming back in the game. I watched 3.5 quarters of the game on that. And
Sure.
Besides it being literally like 3 minutes behind so that they could do the animations,
Sure.
and that 3 minutes of game clock, so like 5 minutes of real time,
Yeah.
it's behind. Besides that, I would 100% I would watch that with my child one day because it was really really good.
Yeah, it's very good. Obviously, you want to watch that week in and week out. But for
Yes.
just like a random primetime game, the Toy Story 1, and now the Simpsons, and now Monsters University, Monsters Inc.
Yes.
It's a great change up.
And then the NBA has it with they do it with Disney and they
Yes.
do it with Mickey Mouse characters.
Which is also fire. It's fun
Yes.
to watch Mickey Mouse and them hoop. Is that set up for any point
They
coming up?
did it at Christmas last year, so they're going to do it again
Again
on Christmas this year.
Cool. I may have to tune into that. We got big off topic, but NBA Cup, the quarterfinals are tonight and tomorrow. Hopefully Wemby's back for that tomorrow night, but it's big.
Good point from Chromie. I agree. Chromie saying, I low-key like being able to see downfield on the Monsters cast. I agree. You get the Madden view from behind the quarterback instead of your traditional broadcast view, and that's pretty nice to see. They still got some work to go because the pick fumble play that you mentioned completely broke.
Yeah, they had no idea what was going on.
I had no clue about the pick fumble, and so I watched the pick, and it was just Jalen Hurts being picked off by Sully. There was no fumble after that.
Yeah,
And then I
'cause-
heard that there was. So I had to look it up because I didn't even believe it.
Yeah.
The play's not believable
Makes
in
no
itself
sense.
at all. We can start with that game because we didn't
let's
end
do
up
it.
previewing that game, and that's the freshest on our minds. Jalen Hurts has 5 turnovers. He realistically should have had 6 because he threw a pick in this game that just barely hit the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and instead got turned into a punt. It's by far his worst game of the season, probably his worst game as an Eagle ever.
Yeah.
Offensively, Philly actually looked pretty good when the quarterback wasn't throwing the ball.
Saquon had probably one of his best days of the season.
Absolutely. Saquon has 122 rushing yards on 20 carries. He's a 52-yard bomb. He has a lot of short spurts early in the game. It's just the second time this season that Saquon Barkley has rushed for over 100 yards. It is the second time as well that he's rushed for 90 or more yards. So a really, really tough season for Saquon, but a great night last night, including a 52-yard touchdown. He just seems to have long touchdown runs in that building every year. He had 2 of them last year when I don't remember if they were playing I think they were playing the Rams on Sunday night, and he had 2 long touchdowns in that one as well. But Jalen Hurts was the story. He was really, really bad. 21 for 40, 240, and again, 4 picks. Really could have had 5 picks, and a fumble off of a fumble recovery. They Philly targeted A.J. Brown 13 times in this game. Dallas Goedert, who I can attest was replaced by Mike Wazowski a few times, had 8 catches for 78. But it was inaccurate drop passes from A.J. Brown, which was kind of a struggle. As there were 3 or 4 deep shots in this game that if A.J. Brown just catches the football, then it changes the entire game.
Sure.
There's a closeout touchdown in the fourth quarter. He catches that. It changes the entire game. So I think a lot of what is the first reaction is how bad Jalen Hurts played. But realistically, A.J. Brown didn't hold his end of the bargain with the catches that he did not make, as well as I get it. Jalen Hurts threw him a hospital ball, but A.J. Brown's got to make a play on that ball. You can't, that play, if you know you're going to get hit, and you're going to get hit over the middle of the field, and I get you want to protect yourself, bat the ball straight down or catch it and try to bring it straight down. That ball cannot get tipped up in the air. It's going to be a pick 90% of the time. The second thing is A.J. Brown, quote, himself says that after the Super Bowl, I want to dominate, physically dominate.
I'll say that's what he wants. That's what he loves, supposedly.
You're not going to just catch a ball over the middle, get hit really hard, and then stand up and flex on the dude. Like, what are we doing here? That's it's hypocritical, point blank. Also, it's again not on Jalen here as well. While he had a terrible game, their play calling was really, really questionable in a few key spots. There's a moment in this game when they have 1st and goal from the 2-yard line. From the 2-yard line, they give it to Saquon once. He stopped for a quarter-yard gain. And then they go to throw the ball on 2nd and goal, and from the 2-yard line. From earlier in the season in the Giants game, when they pushed, it was either 3 or 4 times in a row. Why didn't you just do that 4 times in a row?
Sure.
From the 2-yard line. Why aren't you giving Saquon 4 carries? Instead, they go to throw on 2nd. Jalen Hurts scrambles to the left because he's scrambling for such a long time. The pass rush continues to affect him. He throws a touchdown to A.J. Brown, but there's a holding call. And so it's brought back, and all of a sudden it's 2nd and goal from the 12. That's play calling. That makes no sense from Kevin Pucylowski there. Run the ball 4 times. You have the Eagles' offensive line, Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. Just run the damn ball. I don't understand it. Or run your little stupid shovel pass that you run to Dallas Goedert for multiple touchdowns this season. Why are you rolling out to the left like you don't have a running back? Like, I would make that play make sense for Cliff Kingsbury and the Commanders.
Sure.
Rolling out to the right with Jaden Daniels and allowing him to use his legs or hit the guy on a little on a rub route. But instead, you roll out Jalen to his non-strong side, his left side, and you end up having a holding call, and it ends up forcing a field goal when you had 3 points standing right there. I said, I don't know, 7 or 6 weeks ago that there are no more questions, Your Honor. There are so many questions.
Yeah.
And there were questions after they were winning games in curious ways. And now they're in a 3-game losing streak. And that's ideal for my Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. But they're going to have a tune-up game, per se, against the Raiders. And then it's 2 games against the Commanders and the Bills. And if they go 2-2, I fully expect, assuming Dallas beats the Chargers this coming weekend, they're going to miss the playoffs and lose the division.
Sure.
Starting 8-2. That cannot happen as the defending Super Bowl champs. So tons of questions there. But I guess your feelings on the Eagles, and then we can flip over the Chargers.
I mean, you summed it up pretty well. Just dysfunctional is the best word for the offense, in my opinion, right now. And lack of consistency, even, because it's like, oh, Saquon finally gets going, but that's not been there all season. And then you can hit some big plays in the passing game. I mean, A.J. Brown has 100 receiving yards. But like you said, when you need it the most, or for a touchdown, there's like key drops, key misses, key bad moments by Jalen Hurts. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you're driving down to go win the game, and then he throws a pick to seal it, his 4th of the day. It's just clearly, it's just clearly dysfunctional. It's clearly not smooth there right now. And then on the Chargers side of things, it's a massive win. They're clearly not playing great football right now. But I also kind of think because of the offensive line, this is largely their ceiling. I don't expect them to get much better. Like, I know the Eagles could play better. They have the pieces there to play better, in my opinion. The OC maybe will not allow them to play better, but in theory, they can play better. The Chargers, I don't really think can play that much better than this, just with the injuries. Herbert's beat up right now. Getting Amir and Hampton back is big, but just picking up this win gets you to 9 wins. Your remaining games are Chiefs, Cowboys, Texans, Broncos. So if you didn't win that one, there's a chance of like, oh man, we go 8 and we lose the last 5 games of our season and we don't make the playoffs. Or even if you beat the Chiefs, you could win one of your last 5, and then you still maybe don't make the playoffs at 9 wins. It's just a massive win from that standpoint. Harbaugh touched on it. Basically, was like, I put this game up there with the birth of my children and my wedding, in terms of like what it means to me. So I agree with him. Like that was it kind of felt like a must win, even though you're now 9-4. But I think they're realistic about the issues with their team and how hard it's going to be to win games down the stretch.
I fully agree. I've been messing around in the playoff stuff and predicting the rest of the season. And before this game, I awarded the Chargers to the win because I thought they would win this game. We
Sure.
both thought they would win this game. Our models both thought they would win this game, and they were both correct there. If what I think is going to happen going down the rest of the season, and you talked about those huge games where they have games against the Chiefs, Texans, Broncos, and Cowboys, 2 really good defenses in Texans and Broncos, and then you have to go play at Kansas City and at Dallas, both teams fighting their butts off to make the postseason. Those are 4 postseason teams. It's going to be 4 really tough tests. And that's something that they struggled in really all season, not being able to beat these kinds of teams after their 3-0 hot start. It has been a struggle in these kinds of games. If what I think is going to happen the rest of the way, they will miss the postseason, and Kansas City will slide in as the 7 seed. And that's where that game in Kansas City is so critical. This coming weekend. I apologize earlier. I said the Cowboys game is this coming weekend, but it's the Chiefs game in Kansas City. It is so critical. You win that game, I think you're in, and it is not really a huge problem to think about going forward. Now you need to just try to rest up, keep Herbert healthy. Don't let him have another injury on top of what is already a hurt hand. And then you can get ready for the postseason. So that they've got to prep for. I think you have to take it as a 1-game season at this point. You have to try and go win that game in Kansas City
For sure.
against a very dysfunctional Kansas City team. Try to force the same kind of turnovers that you did against Jalen Hurts and Philly last night. And then I just want to see maybe some consistency, even with this bad offensive line play. Maybe some consistency in the passing game. Like Herbert is just, I get it. He's under a ton of pressure. But the last 3 games, he's thrown for 81 yards, 151 yards, and 139 yards. I want to see more from the passing game because it's not like with their health issues, it has not been, their weapons aren't healthy. Keenan Allen has played pretty much every single game this year.
Yeah.
Lad McConkey is continuing to play. Aronde Gadsden popped, and then all of a sudden you just don't want to use him anymore. They're using the rookie Trey Harris out of Old Piss. Omari and Hampton comes back last night. That dude looked really good for not
100%.
playing for 8 to 10 weeks. They really clearly did a great job in making sure that he was fully ready to play before they brought him back, and he looked really good last night. And you combine that with Vidal, you got a kind of a good duo there. I think, like I said, take this coming weekend as a 1-game season. Try everything you can to win that game. And then go and rest up because you do not want to be going into the games the last 2 weeks against the Texans and Broncos with your offensive line and with Herbert's injuries needing a win.
Yeah.
The only thing that really could work out for them, and this is again something that I've gone through with the playoff predicting down the stretch, is Denver has a possibility to have locked up the 1 seed prior to the final week of the season. And so they could do something really similar to what happened last year, and where the Chiefs had the 1 seed locked up, played all of their backups, Denver blasted them. to keep Kansas City out, they could play all their backups and let the Chargers beat them, and that would keep Kansas City out of the postseason. And I fully expect that they would do something like that
Yeah.
if they have the 1 seed locked up. So that's the only thing that could potentially help them for that schedule down the stretch. So you got to win this weekend.
That's a good point. Let's move on to another game. I'll go ahead and get my team out of the way. Commanders played the Vikings off of 2 overtime games, so maybe there wasn't hope within the Commanders fan base of like, oh, we're good now, but it was like, oh, we can actually like compete now. We're not so bad that people are just going to run over us. Well, we got ran over on Sunday. We lost 31-0 to 9, which this was talked about just by a lot of Commanders fans. And it's that you put up that performance against the guy that has become the universal symbol of ass in the NFL. And so, like, what does that make you? If you get cooked that bad, you lose 31-0 to that guy.
Yeah.
You're like super duper ass. I don't know. Like, it's diabolical. It really is just like calling in. So many questions are starting to surface of like, okay, we figured Dan Quinn was the guy, and really what happened this season with the injuries, like he was going to get another chance. But to lose like this, and then if you lose your last 4 games, you go to the Giants next week and you lose that one bad. Does he get fired? Like, is it that quick of a turnaround? Or like maybe Cliff Kingsbury's gone, the DC's already gone. And then like what's the personnel fix going to be in the offseason? Because I still fully believe in Jaden Daniels. I know he's not had a very great season statistically, but he's been hurt a ton and has never really had a chance to get his legs under him because every time he starts playing again, he just gets hurt again. So you really want to maximize him being on a rookie deal.
Mm-hmm.
But is that even possible because the rest of the roster is so bad? It's just something to think about. And then for the Vikings, good win, I guess. It was nice to see J.J. McCarthy play well. We made it so easy. There was a 12-minute drive of 14 plays they had where they converted 4 third downs of 3rd and 8 or longer. Wild. Just insane.
Yeah, it wasn't just 14. It was 19 plays.
Excuse me, 19 plays.
19 plays. Even worse, 98 yards, 12 minutes. And like you said, the 3 long third down conversions. For the Commanders' questions, like personnel and coaching and everything, I wouldn't punt too quickly. But this is where not being in college in the collegiate game right now is going to hurt them because they can't just go and rely on a recruiting class and the transfer portal and really kind of invigorate this team and reshuffle everything. They have contracts with a lot of the guys that are on the defense and on the offense that you have to trade or you have to release and then pay the bonuses. You only get a limited amount of draft picks. They only have 7 or 6 this year.
I think we're going with 6. We don't have our 2nd round pick.
Yeah, you're right.
Which you would love to have that. We traded that for Laremy Tunsil, who's actually been great.
Yeah.
That's proving to be a good trade. So I'll give them props for that. That's the reason we have our 2nd round pick. I'll take that. But you are right. Like, we can't just go bring in 30 guys from the transfer portal and then high school guys. There's just a limit to what can be done. So I guess we'll have to see when we get there. I mean,
you have to. I guess your only selling point is Jaden was hurt this year, and so if you get a full healthy year of Jaden, then you can try and get guys to sign for cheaper, and you're really gonna have to hit on late round picks, and then old veterans, and on an already old roster, you're just gonna have to hit on that again.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna have to really bite the bullet and try to just be 9-8 next year. Not try to go over and try to take the 1 seed because that's kind of what the expectation was coming to the year.
Hope. And I think the case in the offseason they'll try and spin, and we'll see if it works, is we actually like the offensive pieces we have. We can extend Laremy Tunsil. Josh Carnley's played a lot better down the stretch. Sam Cosmi, we still have him on the inside. And then the weapons weren't healthy, but maybe we can try and bring Debo back or replace him. You still have Terry McLaurin, who's looked good these past couple weeks. You just try and hold the line with the running back group you have, maybe improve there a little bit, and then there's Jaden. So it's like, well, the defense sucks, but we can push all of our resources to the defense. Now we could get into next season, the offense could suck, and that could be wrong. But I think they'll really, really focus on the defense, whether that's right or wrong.
Just go beat the Eagles once, please.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
I kind of feel like it's in there. I think we're going to get it done once for just some stupid reason.
I think in 2 weeks in Washington,
Sure.
Assuming Jaden's playing,
Sure.
they got every chance in the world. And I hope that they win that game.
Do we want to talk about your team now?
Sure, we can. Let's talk about Tyler Shuck and what is becoming the. It's not a secret anymore. What's becoming a well-known secret is that Tyler Shuck is good at football, and he has a excellent game in Tampa Bay. We continue to kind of dominate Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. We've only lost that game once in the past 5 years in Tampa Bay, and that was last year when Spencer Rattler went down and started there. Spencer Rattler doesn't win any games, so that's not really a point you can shove back towards us.
Sure.
Shuck was incredible, and he has been really, really good all year in the games that he started. And the things you saw in the preseason was he just looks like an NFL quarterback. He can make big-time throws like an NFL quarterback. But one thing you didn't see in the preseason was the use of his legs. And so we saw his legs on Sunday against Tampa Bay, where he has 7 rushes for 55 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 34-yard rushing touchdown, which you could put up there with Josh Allen's 40-yard rushing touchdown against Cincinnati this weekend. The run game with 2 young backs in Devin Neal and Audric Estime was working. 70 yards for Devin Neal. Estime only 11 rushing yards, but he was a good change of pace. It was really Devin Neal's backfield all day. But I hate that we're winning because I wish we would get a better pick. But this is the way you want to win. Is that okay? Now we're starting to answer the question of, do we need a quarterback next year or not?
Yeah.
And it seems like that answer is now leaning towards no, with Tyler Shuck's 2 wins on the road against divisional opponents. In the NFL, the best way to make the postseason is win your division, and Tyler Shuck is 2-1 in divisional games. You have to give him credit there, and I don't care how bad the NFC South is. Divisional games can be really, really tough with anyone. A 3-11 more than likely Commanders team is going to push Philly in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
100%. I guarantee they are going to push them. Will they win it? Who knows? But Tyler Shuck's 2-1 in those divisional games, and he's had 2 great games in the 2 wins. And what is lost in this, if you're just box score watching, you think, oh, he had a Bryce Young game. Oh, he had the 2 rushing touchdowns, but they were probably nothing. No. What was the big theme of the weekend, which somehow I don't understand it, was ugly weather everywhere but Baltimore. Baltimore, it was perfectly sunny, and there were no problems.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that game in our game breakdowns later. But it was pouring down rain down in Tampa the entire day. It was really, really hard to throw the football, a la Baker Mayfield going 14 for 30 and 122 yards. And so the run game had to be leaned on, but Shuck was able to make the throws he needed to make. He throws a pick in this game, but it's another one of those picks that he's had where it's like, that doesn't really feel like the same kind of value pick. It doesn't feel like a drive-ending pick. It didn't feel like Jalen Hurts' pick last night on 1st and 10 from the 15 in overtime.
Yeah.
Where it's like that's a game-ending pick. But I think I'm happy because, this is the way you want to win. Tyler Shuck playing well, and we're answering that question. We're going to, sadly, I think we probably could, and I actually would be kind of surprised if we don't win the last 4 games of the season as well, where we play the Panthers, Jets at home, and then we're at the Titans and Falcons the last 4 weeks. We could finish 7-10, which sucks because, man, why did we start Spencer Rattler for so long? This team might have won the NFC South.
Yeah.
Like I predicted, with the way Tyler Shuck is playing right now. If we had Tyler Shuck in those Cardinals games and the 49ers game, where we could have had a more competitive end to that drive, and maybe even the Patriots game as well. Those are all 3 one-score games at home that Spencer Rattler could not win, but maybe Tyler Shuck could have.
Yeah, it's a good point. That the back end of the schedule is Panthers, Jets, at Titans, at Falcons. All bottom. Panthers are above the bottom third. They're kind of in the middle third, but the Jets, Titans, Falcons are all bottom third NFL teams.
We already beat the
You
Panthers
already
with
beat the
Tyler
Panthers
Shuck,
once,
so
correct? Could really end strong, which pros and cons. Because you go 4-0, the hype about Tyler Shuck going in next season, this team going into next season, is insane. It's nuts. The fever will be there, but you don't really have a great draft pick. And if you go 2-2 in these games, hype maybe dies down a little bit, but better draft pick. So it's an interesting spot to be in for sure. Let's see other games, other big games of the week. Well, let's talk about the Bucks before we move on. Excuse me.
sure.
Thoughts on their performance? I'm sure you watched most, if not all, of this game. So
Yeah.
you probably have a pretty good read on this week, but also just overall trends of them just faltering in the stretch. You still chalk up to injuries? You think there are bigger issues now? What do you got?
A little bit of both. I think they're just really falling in terms of, for one, their defensive performances was really, really bad in those 3 weeks against those really great teams. And then it has been a struggle to find offensive consistency. If you have been a Emeka Ibuka owner this year, you are probably pretty pissed with how the past month and a half has gone for him. He has removed now 4 games in a row of 42 or less receiving yards. He has not been the big play threat like he was early on in the year. He has been very, very quiet, and that's your rookie receiver who was coming on to be the leading receiver. Godwin looked good. He looks healthy finally. He looked really good on Sunday. And Mike Evans is practicing. He might play this week.
I bet he'll be back this week, I think.
Which is insane. He's got a long push, a really long push for the 1,000 yards, and so I'd be honestly kind of shocked if he got there. Right now, he sits with 140 receiving yards.
He needed to average like 260. They have 4 more games.
4 more games, so he needs
like 220 or something.
Yeah, give or
like
take
that.
At least 200 yards. Yeah, about 220 per game the next 4 weeks. So I don't think the 1,000 yards is there, but the biggest thing is, for one, I don't get why we're rushing him. Make sure he's fully healthy, because if you have him in the postseason, maybe you can make a chance and make a run. And with Baker this season, I think you have to feel that really even as the Saints were really outplaying them on Sunday, it was, if I cared about the Saints and winning that game, I would be unbelievably nervous because Baker's on the other side. He's going to lead the game-winning drive. He doesn't in this game. But if they can be in any game offensively and Baker gets the ball last, they have a chance to beat anyone, and they will beat anyone. The biggest thing is just, can they get to that spot?
Yeah.
They got 2 games against the Panthers. I think those are really, really big mojo games. Go dominate them twice.
Yeah.
Because you very well should.
Sure.
But they got to find they've got to find better defensive play and better offensive play, which is both sides of the ball right there. They're barely in the good team category, and they're living up to the NFC South recent history since the MVPs retired in Drew Brees and Matt Ryan.
Yeah, the Egbuka thing is so strange. I mean, he basically dropped a wide open touchdown in this game. It was a little high, but he's got to come down with that one. I saw a stat. He has like a 44% catch rate on targets, which is, I think it was 128th of 130 something receivers that qualify.
Shocking.
That's really, really terrible. And it makes sense watching these past couple weeks and why his stats are down. I don't necessarily think it's not like they're not trying to use him. It's just it's not come to fruition. And I really do think the Baker's not playing 100%. So that definitely factors in. Other key games, I don't want to really talk about Dolphins Jets except Devon Achane. You're a dog. I'm glad that you're apparently okay.
Yes.
Basically, they just held him out because they knew they were playing the Jets and they were going to win. Colts, Jaguars. We did not preview that, did we?
We did not.
We did not.
No.
Let's get into that one then, because a big divisional game. The Colts' Achilles heel, which is a really bad term to use, has been Duval.
Absolutely.
And it was physically the Achilles this week, as Daniel Jones is out now for the season. He officially tore it, correct?
Yeah.
Officially tore his Achilles. Riley Leonard comes in, has to fill in, and they lose 36-19 to Jacksonville, and now aren't leading the division, which is insane considering where they were 5 weeks ago.
Yep.
6-2, cruising. Everyone loved them. They were like the darlings, and it's all gone to crap so fast. Thoughts on this game?
Well, they can't run the ball anymore.
Yeah.
In a game, this is another ugly weather game. It was pouring rain in Jacksonville, just like Tampa Bay. And Jonathan Taylor, the last 3 weeks, 58 rushing yards, 85 rushing yards, 74 after 244 against the Falcons. To add insult to injury, they lose their quarterback that they had banked so much on, that they traded 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner because of his play. The good news going forward is he was only on a 1-year deal. You didn't commit big money to Daniel Jones, and so you can move on next season and go to someone else. They're trying to move on right now with Phillip Rivers, 44 years of age.
I've loved all the stats about that, them just subtly dropping into the headline that now a grandfather.
Yes.
He's older than like 8 active head coaches.
Yes.
Stuff like that. It's been great.
Has not played since the COVID NFL season.
Did you see apparently
that was the last game he played?
He coaches high school football right now, his son's team. Did you see that apparently he's running the Colts offense?
Yes, he's been running
weekly
Shane Steichen's
talks
offense
with Shane Steichen.
Yes.
So they're trying to spin that as like he's going to be ready to roll.
Steichen was his quarterback coach, and he was an interim offensive coordinator for 3 years when the Chargers. He was a Charger in San Diego, so they've coached with each other before. Steichen was not a part of the team when Phillip was there in Indy, but Phillip was the last quarterback to lead Indy to the postseason since Andrew Luck, and hopefully you can find something from there. They would like to put and play Riley Leonard come Sunday, but Phillip Rivers is on the practice squad, and he could end up playing in the game. And I think we'd all look. The Colts are 8-5, so it's not like a Jets team or someone else. But we would love to see him play.
I would tune in, and if he's not playing,
Everybody
Riley Leonard is
in.
playing. I'm probably won't tune in.
The really good news is they're going to play a really, really easy opponent in. No, they're playing the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle.
In Seattle's lucky better.
Yes.
Because the Seahawks are the road warriors of the NFL.
Yes, but it is
it's not bad.
It's such a brutal fall off. I can't imagine the emotion in that. And losing your starting quarterback is one thing, but to lose your offensive power with Jonathan Taylor for multiple weeks, to lose in Jacksonville for the now 11th time in a row, to lose your season away. They are not.
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they're not in the lead for the AFC South, and they play 4 brutal games in Seattle, 49ers, Jacksonville again, and the Texans the last 4 weeks. And so they're probably finishing 8-9. And you go from what they were, which was 8-2, going into Kansas City. They are in that game. They don't play really well that entire game. And then in the fourth quarter, I should say, 3 straight 3-and-outs and a 3-and-out in overtime, and you lose to Kansas City in overtime, and all of a sudden it's just straight downhill from there. They're 8-5, looking at 8-9. It is Larry, we're sorry.
Yeah,
our resident Colts fan. But I guess maybe you could get a better draft pick now.
It's big for Chromie's Texans, though. That really opens up really every AFC team because it just opens up a playoff spot all of a sudden.
Yes,
in a very crowded wild card race.
It's huge for Kansas City. It's huge for Houston. It's huge for Jacksonville. This becomes now a 2-man race with Jacksonville and Houston. Neither of the two teams play each other the rest of the way. And now you look to Jacksonville. If they end up losing this division, it'll be because they let Davis Mills score 36 points on them in the game that C.J. Stroud went out with a concussion, because they would have the 2-0 tiebreaker to the Texans. And so they'd be up 2 games instead of 1 right now. Jacksonville plays at Denver, and they'll play Indianapolis, the Titans, and the Jets. So you're looking at more than likely 3-1, and Houston has a little bit tougher path.
Sure.
But Jacksonville, to think, they're really quietly just rising. They've quietly won 4 in a row.
Yeah.
They've quietly gone from 5-4 to 5-4 after losing that game to Davis Mills, and now you are 9-4, and you are looking at a potential home playoff game in a season where your big experiment with Travis Hunter failed because Travis Hunter's not going to play the rest of the year.
Yeah.
You lost your first round pick last year, and so it looked like that was going to end up hurting you with the way the season had gone. And now you're 9-4. Trevor's playing fine, not great. You're just going out there and winning games is really the way that they're doing it. And I think you have to get, once you get to the postseason, we have seen Trevor play pretty good ball in the postseason in his 2 lone games.
Yeah.
The huge comeback, of course, against the Chargers. And then he was not that bad in Kansas City. And so,
Sure.
in an AFC that's going to more than likely, which is crazy to say, won't have Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, you have to feel confident that you are one of the teams with a quarterback with playoff experience and good playoff experience as well. I think Jacksonville fans in Duval County have to feel good. This is not me saying they're a Super Bowl contender or to win the Super Bowl, anything like that, but they could very well make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Who's to say they can't win 3 games with all those teams? Buffalo is really going to be the heavy favorite out of that entire thing, but with New England and Drake May, his first postseason run, Denver, everyone thinks is frauds. The Chargers and Justin Herbert and their offensive line play, and then Herbert's failures in the postseason. Who's to say Jacksonville can't be the team that goes out there and somehow makes the Super Bowl?
Sure. And even if you don't, I mean, you won, 2 games last year, and now you're looking like I'd imagine they're the odds-on favorite to win the division because of the back end of that schedule.
Yes.
And you already have the game up. You have a game lead currently as it stands. So you go from 2 wins to, hey, we just won our division and have a chance to make a run on the playoffs. You have to love that. If a Jacksonville fan tried to tell me they weren't happy, I would be like, hey, you're spoiled.
Yeah,
Or
Jacksonville
you're delusional.
is the odds-on favorite. Houston is a plus money favorite, but minus 185 for Jacksonville to win the division.
Sure.
At this moment.
A couple others to talk about before we get into specifics. I don't feel the need to talk about Seahawks Falcons. Do we want to talk about Titans Browns? The battle of the rookie quarterbacks. We just both played really well.
Yeah, Shador cooked. The big notion from that game is Kevin Stefanski hates Shador Sanders, and it's looking like, if Shador continues to play, 364 yards and 3 touchdowns probably isn't sustainable, but if he continues to play to some kind of level like that he could earn the starting job next year while at the same time Kevin Stefanski being fired.
Sure. It's also it's funny outside looking in. It's also just very Browns. You have one of the best quarterback games you've had in a long time from your franchise, definitely this season, and your defense has one of its worst performances this season, so you still lose despite that. I mean, you gave up 161 yards and 2 touchdowns to Tony Pollard. That's really, really poor.
And that Tennessee offensive line.
Correct. And that Tennessee offensive line. Myles Garrett was not good. 31 points to Tennessee. I'm assuming that's their season high. Let me just check real quick.
It is.
Yeah, they've not scored more than 24 before this. And then they dropped 31.
Yikes.
So.
On 117 passing yards from Cam Ward.
Diabolical from the Browns. Maybe, they're just trying to tank, I guess. And then last game, I would say Texans-Chiefs. Do we want to get into that one?
Yeah,
we
sure.
didn't preview
Absolutely.
that one. Chiefs lose another one. They're now 6, and the number after 6. So they have
C.J. Stroud's number 7.
A losing record. And the Texans win. They're now 8-5, cruising. They started what? Were they 1-4, 2-4?
They started 0-3.
0-3.
Yep.
And then 1-4. So yeah, 0-3. And now you're 8-5. The defense looks as good as ever, and the offense is coming around to at least be competent. They can score consistently around the 20-point mark, find the end zone occasionally. Woody Marks, I saw a tweet from a Texans fan that was like, I guess Woody Marks is just gonna leave every single game with an injury and then come back. And then as like a college football enjoyer, I was like, welcome to the Woody Marks
Yeah.
experiment. That's how it's been for the past 5 years.
Absolutely.
He's like, oh my gosh, like Woody Marks, he's hurt. And then 2 plays later, he limps back in and keeps running the football.
He is one of the most physically tough players from. If that's literally, you could make that a data point in terms of being hurt in a game and then coming back into the game. He would own the record for that.
100%.
There were multiple games where I had friends or family that had not seen a lot of state football that year, and Woody would get hurt in the first or second quarter, and I'd say to them, I bet you $100,000 he'll come back and play in the game. He'll probably score a touchdown
Yeah.
too. And I was right every single time that happened. I guarantee you, Woody will be back in this game, and that's what he does. He's a bulldog, through and through. And we state fans, that is, we all love that we get to see this.
Sure.
Look, he has 26 carries for 68 yards, so it's not like it's a huge day, but he's moving the football. He's getting touches. He's on the national stage. Any state player getting to play on the national stage is a huge thing. On the other side, Chris Jones, state legend, was having a great day as well. But this is just malpractice from Kansas City, straight up malpractice to lose this game in the way that you did. That first half is obviously awful. They can't move the football. They're dropping passes. Noah Gray drops a first down on the very first drive, and you go 3 and out immediately. And Houston's not like moving the ball crazy. They have a 90-yard touchdown drive, in large part due to a Nico Collins catch. To add insult to injury, you end that first half missing the field goal by hitting the upright. And what is? Did you have the sound on?
I did not, because we were recording, but I went back and watched it because the caption was like the loudest doink ever, and it's like an assault on your ears how it sounds.
It was.
It sounds like you're inside the pole.
Yeah, it was literally one of the loudest doinks I've ever seen it in the game. And Chromie, is what he said in the chat is what I was going to lead to next, which was, it is malpractice to go for it on 4th and 1 from your own 31-yard line in a game where it is 10-10, and these are Houston's drives in the second half at that point. 10-10. You have tied the game after being down 10-0 at halftime. These were Houston's drives in the first half. 3 and out for -4 yards. 3 and out for 2 yards. 3 and out for 0 yards. 3 and out for 0 yards. And then 6 plays, 19 yards, and a punt. You decide then to go for it on 4th and 1 from your own 31. And look, I would understand it, maybe, just maybe, if you had done what has worked all season, which was, it's been Kareem Hunt on 1-yard carries, or 1 yard to go to pick up the first down. He's hitting it like 95% plus. Hand it off to Kareem Hunt. No, you decide to throw it against that pass rush, and Mahomes can't find his receiver. You turn it over. You give Houston the football at your own 31. And, of course, they score a touchdown on you, and you go down 17-10. And because you forced your hand by going for it originally, the very next drive, you're forced to go for it again from your own 41, and you can't convert, and you turn it over on downs. Thankfully, you force a 3 and out for Houston, but the very next drive, 2 plays and another pick from Patrick Mahomes, Houston kicks a field goal. The rest is history. It was one of the worst games that Mahomes has ever played in his career. 3 interceptions in this game, 14 for 33 for 160 yards. He has his good rushes, 7 for 59, but they can't move the football otherwise in the run game, and it is malpractice that you go for it.
Yeah, it's insane to see a fourth quarter drive chart from the Chiefs that's pick, downs, pick, and then end of game where you had like half a minute left. The game was already over. Like, that just doesn't happen in Kansas City. It can't happen. Any team can't do that. And then especially a Mahomes-led team. It takes the third quarter drive chart for the Texans and says, I'll do you one better. But
Yeah.
I mean, you just turn over basically 4 times in the fourth quarter. It's disastrous. And what kind of felt like a must-win game, to be honest. I know they're not mathematically eliminated,
Mhm.
but one you really, really needed against another team chasing a wild card spot. Just it's very, very poor.
Yeah, you're getting the last 5 games, 3 of them were at home against the really good teams in Houston, the Los Angeles Chargers, and Denver. Realistically, they only needed to go 2-1 in those games, but to lose the first one and now have to go 2-0 against Chargers and Denver, Denver will be competing for the number 1 overall seed, and the Chargers will be competing for a playoff spot. You put all the pressure right back on top of you more than it already was, and for
There's no reason to think they're going to deliver
no, no,
either from what we've seen.
that's been the biggest thing for me this season is finally it was either 3 or 4 weeks ago. It was the Colts game. I'm watching the Colts game, and while they ended up pulling it off, the entire second half, I'm thinking to myself, they're not doing this.
Yeah.
Why would they do this? That's not who they are. They don't. That's not what this team is. This team doesn't pull off these comebacks. They ended up pulling it off, but I said right after it, that's not sustainable, and
Yeah.
it has not been clearly the past 3 weeks.
Because they pulled it off against a Colts team that we have seen is not the same Colts team it was in the first 6 or 8 weeks.
And in that game, they dominated them
Yeah.
offensively. They had almost 2x in essentially every single category. And then if you're going to do that and still go to overtime, that's a kind of an indictment on you. You come into that next week, Thanksgiving, you lose to Dallas, and you lose here to Houston, and now the end of the road is near. I still cannot fathom why you went for it on 4th and 1 when the opposing offense had roughly 17 total yards and 5 punts to start the second half. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I get it. You have this illustrious history of when you need to pick up 1 or 2 yards, you have been absolutely excellent at it. There have just been countless moments where you've been able to pick up the 4th down and continue the drive or end the game. But there's no reason to, in that situation, force Houston to go and beat you.
Yeah.
Because
Well, you're not the same team. Talking
Mhm.
about that illustrious history, like you're not that team.
Yes.
So like you need to come to terms with that and punt the ball and play like most people would and be like, this is a field position battle currently. We'll try and get our points later. And instead of being like, well, honestly, I say it's like they're being like, oh, we're the Chiefs, like this is going to work for us. But then also it could be an avenue of, oh, they're really just panicking because it's not working. So it's not really a pride thing. They're just pressing so hard and making the wrong decisions because of that. Either way, it's a terrible decision, though.
Yeah. And Travis Kelce, where are you? Why aren't you catching the football? Terrible, terrible, terrible. And now, like, you finished with the way you finished last season, getting blown out by blown out by Philly. It felt like that was going to be the end for Travis, and then it was no, we can't go out like that. And now to follow
You're
it up
going
with,
out worse.
followed up with this, it feels like he's going to play next year to try and not go out on this. Why would you expect it to get better for Travis?
Yeah.
Shout out to Chris Jones though. He played his freaking tail off and really gave them a chance. He's 4 quarterback hits. He's a sack and a TFL in this game.
Sure.
I'd say it was his best game of the season. But his counterparts could not hold up their end of the bargain. And Kansas City is 7 losses, 6 wins.
Sure.
I'm so sad. I feel so bad for them. So
boo-hoo.
Yes.
I'm in an itching spot because I think I'm not at all a Chiefs hater, because I kind of was at one point a Mahomes and Chiefs fan along with the Commanders because I had good friends that were Chiefs fans. I went to a game in Arrowhead. I've explained that before. So it's a weird spot for me to be in. Shall we get to our specific games?
Let's
start with Chicago Green Bay. The Bears go to the Packers, and they're holding sole possession of first place in the NFC North. But if they lose this game, they no longer have possession of first place. And it's a rival that has thwarted them for so long, a lot of it being when Aaron Rodgers was there. But even recently, Jordan Love has done pretty well against them. And he does well against them again and pulls out a big win. So Packers are now first place in the NFC North. I'll say right now, this has become my favorite NFL rivalry these past couple years. It just feels like you're in for a great match, and it just feels like these teams truly hate each other, and their fan bases truly hate each other. And so just feeling that animosity, I feel like you can feel it oozing from the screen, and it just makes it such a joy to tune into, even as someone that's not a fan of either of these teams. But your thoughts on this game?
Well, I got to give, for one, to Chicago a ton of credit for even
Sure.
fighting back in this game. But it's who they've been all year. They claw and claw like Bears do. And they try to lead some kind of game-winning drive. And they get down there. They have the chance. And Caleb throws the pick, underthrows. He had DJ Moore open. He doesn't see him. I maybe just run the football. You've been running it fine all day.
Yeah.
Swift had 4.8 per carry, and Monangai had 4.1. And so third and 1 or 4th and 1, just hand the football off.
Yeah.
Give them a chance to pick it up that way. I would have personally, even in what looks like an obvious running situation. And again, another, why do we roll out to the left with a quarterback that is right-handed, very similar to what Philly did. But regardless, they were getting dominated in this game. Caleb had just 11 passing yards prior to the last drive for Chicago in the first half where he's playing the 2-minute drill. And the Bears had just 48 rushing yards at that point in the game. They had been punting it all of the first half. And then Caleb's able to lead a drive, and they score 3 at the end of the half. So I give them a ton of credit for fighting this game. Green Bay is... I think they're the team to beat in the NFC at this point. And that's even with the Rams and the way that they're playing, and Seattle as well. Spoiler alert, the Pyramid's going to have Seattle and Los Angeles above Green Bay, but I do think Green Bay is the team to beat. And the biggest thing for them is they have the ability to beat themselves, which is a problem.
Yeah.
They've lost to the Cleveland Browns and lost to the Carolina Panthers in really, really brutal fashion. But that defense is so, so good. And then the way Jordan Love has played the past 2 weeks, you have to think that if he's just to show performances like that, and he's already had good postseason performances on top of that, has to be a ton of confidence going into the postseason. Cold weather, with that offense, they're very explosive oriented. To still be able to find it, too, in that cold weather was really, really phenomenal. The throws that Jordan is an incredible quarterback, and he makes some really, really high-level throws, and Caleb made really high-level throws in this game as well. And to speak on what you said first, this has been a rivalry that's been dominated by Green Bay, and it was dominated by Aaron Rodgers. And now with the past 2 years with Caleb versus Jordan, it feels like we're going to have instant classics twice a year. And I cannot wait. That was a phenomenal, phenomenal football game from both teams, and a really, really fun second half. And Brady was excellent on the call with Fox and everything. So I can't wait for 2 weeks from now when Green Bay goes to Chicago, and it very well could flip immediately right back.
Yeah.
Chicago fell from the 1 seat to 7, and Green Bay moved into the 2, and now you could flip it right back, and Chicago could be right back there
100%.
leading the NFC North.
100%. Yeah, Jordan Love past 2 weeks has been great. The offense seems like it's refound its stride. But I do get what you're saying in terms of, like, you still feel a little better about the Rams and Seahawks in terms of, like, the Packers have had some stinkers this season. But if Jordan Love can put together another week or two of this performance and show it's for real, that this wasn't just a couple-week run of playing really well, the confidence seems back in this offense. I talked a lot kind of through their bit of a lull of the season when they were losing some games to bad teams. The offense just didn't feel confident. It looked hesitant, and I feel like a lot of that's gone. Christian Watson getting back and really getting healthy, I think, has been huge.
He's been phenomenal.
Has been their best receiver, because he kind of was that best receiver. He's not like a true one. It's not like I'm trying to say he's Justin Jefferson, obviously, but he was that before he tore his ACL, and now I kind of feel like that's back as Jordan Love loves him as the deep ball threat. Just kind of he's Love's go-to guy, and I think that's been huge for Love having that comfort back, and it's helped him be more confident, and I love that continue. R.I.P. Matthew Golden, I guess. I should just sell all stock. And then on the Chicago side, real quick, Luther Burden just coming on strong, especially you're going to need someone to step up now that Rome's gone. Bear fans, I don't agree that you should just get rid of Rome Odunze because it's Luther Burden's receiving room now, but it's why you drafted him.
They're saying that?
Yeah.
They
don't like Rome. They don't like Rome. I don't understand
crazy.
it.
He's playing phenomenal this year.
They were ready to call him a bust after last year. Wild stuff from Bears fans. But that's why you drafted him. Even Colson Loveland has looked a lot better of late. That's why you drafted him. So you
Yeah.
have to love that. Even though you lost this game, I think you said it well. Like, you have to love the fight they showed at the very least.
This Chicago team doesn't have the high-end talent like Ben
Sure.
Johnson's Detroit team had, where like Gibbs can just take over a game, Amon-Ra can just take over a game, JMO can just blow you over the top. But they're all like B pluses, and the Green Bay's receiving core can be viewed like a bunch of B minuses.
Yeah.
They're all B pluses. They can all have big moments in a game. And I think they're pretty similar to Green Bay in that way with Swift, Monangai, and a two-back attack. That's not Sonic and Knuckles, but it has been really good this year, and they might have 2 1,000-yard rushers. And then Odunze, Burden, and DJ Moore with Colson Loveland coming on, and Cole Kmet's still on this team. They have all the weapons they need, and it's not the high-end talent, but it is enough for Caleb to be able to move the football down the field in critical moments, and that's what he's done all year.
Yeah.
I give them a ton of credit, and Caleb played an incredible second half, and then had a bad play to end it, and that's all that happened. So I don't think you should take too much away from Caleb in that one moment, because he's had great moments all year in similar parts of the game. Minnesota, Las Vegas, Washington.
Yeah.
He has had critical drives at Cincinnati. Go back and watch his 2 game-winning drives in that game. And just because it didn't happen here doesn't mean that he's a bust. They had won 5 in a row. Eventually, you're going to lose at some point, and it ends up being to Green Bay.
Yeah.
This Sunday, but it was one of my favorite games to watch so far this season.
Sure.
And I can't wait for the next one.
It was 4th and 1. You had to go try and make a play. He tried to make a play. It just didn't work out. Like, I'm not going to get hung up on that and try and act like he's a bad quarterback or he lost them that game because, they were losing. That play had to be made. I think at this point how I feel about the Bears just generally is I still don't view them as like a Super Bowl contender, but I would not want to play them at all in the postseason. I would want nothing to do with them because I feel like on any given day they're going to make my life hell as the other team, and they're going to fight, and they're going to make me earn my win. You're not going to go in and just kind of roll over them, or they're not going to come in and roll over and let you beat up on them.
Yeah, I think that's almost, you could say that to any and every team in the NFC, besides maybe Tampa Bay.
Sure.
It's probably the most loaded NFC side we've had in a long time. And there are a bunch of game breakers. Seattle, Los Angeles, Green Bay, Chicago's in that conversation. Even San Francisco, if Detroit somehow makes it, it is going to be a really, really interesting and fun NFC playoffs, and I can't wait. And Chicago's not it's not a team you want to play, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah, we can move on though. Next game. I just don't think I'm going to understand the AFC North this season. What's going on? I couldn't begin to try and predict who's going to win it. A couple weeks ago, I felt really good about, the Ravens have come back and it's theirs now. But Lamar Jackson continues to not play well. The defense continues to be just okay. And they lose 27-22 against the Steelers. And so now I believe the Steelers have regained first place in the division. And at this point, there's just no reason to expect Lamar to suddenly look like himself again this season. There's a chance he does, but I'm not going to bank on it and be like, it's going to happen at some point. And they're going to need that, in my opinion, if they're going to turn this around and make the playoffs.
Yeah, Ravens still have 2 really tough, or 3 actually. Cincinnati, then they have to host the Patriots, which that game got flexed to Sunday Night Football, and that'll be prime time now. And they still have to go to Lambeau the second to last week of the season. So on top of still going to Pittsburgh the last week of the season. So it is a long road for Ravens fans, and they need Lamar to turn it around. He has now 2 touchdowns and 6 turnovers in the last 5 games. Since the Miami Dolphins game, he has been really, really piss poor. I've heard arguments that you would rather have a ton of other quarterbacks than Lamar with the way that he's played the last few weeks, and that is something it's hard to argue with. You got outplayed by Perk Rogers, a 42-year-old Perk Rogers.
Easily outplayed. I mean,
dominated you from a stat category, and that can't happen for a 2-time MVP and he and their fans, the Ravens fans, would argue 4-time MVP. Feel like he's been slighted before. He's not playing like an MVP right now. The biggest thing on the Baltimore side is I talked about malpractice with Kansas City. And if you remember what I said about the ACC championship and the 2-minute drive led by Chandler Morris in Virginia, how that was textbook.
Yeah.
Their end of the game drive was exactly what you don't do, in that they have the ball with 1:56 left with one timeout and a 5-point game, meaning they got to go score a touchdown. They have the ball on their own 26. 1:09 roll off the clock, and they have moved the ball 8 yards. They have used their timeout, and you have the ball with 47 seconds left, 4th and 2.
Yeah.
What is going on? We've already used our timeout. We've moved the ball 8 yards, and we can't even get ourselves to the spot of we are able to even throw a Hail Mary. And then on top of that, for Lamar to get sacked, that can't happen. That cannot happen. You have to at least get some kind of shot off to the end zone. I don't care how good the Pittsburgh pass rush can be. That is exactly how you don't run a 2-minute drive. And they had all the time in the world. They had 1:56. They had a timeout. They're at home. They're not on the road. And it's been a culmination of their season. Their offense has been great. Defense has been bad. Defense has been great. Offense has been bad. And everything in between. Bad special teams, bad penalties, and now you can't even execute in the key spots. Baltimore they're like Kansas City in that they're a good team, not a great team. They have a high ceiling, but the high ceiling is really held on to by their past seasons, and it's not what this team is, and it's not what this team is going to be this year. To not win this division when the team that is going to win this division I honestly think is either 8-9 Cincinnati Bengals or a 9-8 Pittsburgh, who always goes 9-8. That cannot happen.
Yeah.
That cannot happen for Baltimore. On the Pittsburgh side, it was a shocking performance, especially from Aaron Rodgers, for that to be the way that he played. His rushing touchdown was electric.
It was a classic. That's a vintage
It was
Aaron Rodgers rushing
electric.
touchdown.
And they were hitting deep balls. That was something they had for the entire month of November. They hadn't had a pass over 20 yards down the field. I think it was either 5 or 6 in this game. DK Metcalf was just absolutely going off. Couldn't run the ball, and that's maybe a problem looking forward. Is the last 2 weeks they haven't run the ball well, and they haven't stopped the run. Baltimore ran for 217, and last week I'm pretty sure Buffalo had 240. Sure. That's a problem. For Pittsburgh way is stopping the run and then allowing your pass rush to get after them and then running the football. And they haven't done that the last 2 weeks. So I think a very valid argument is that it's not sustainable, this kind of play. You don't expect Aaron Rodgers to continue playing like this. And so I don't understand the Pittsburgh fans there are some that are feeling like, oh, we can go and win the AFC because of the fact that Burrow and Allen and Lamar and Mahomes won't be in it. Or Allen will be, but those 3 teams won't be in it. Right now, if Pittsburgh wins the division, their most likely opponent is pretty much 90% Buffalo. Well, we already saw that.
Yeah, so it's also just why don't you just worry about winning the division first? Because
Yes.
You're limping right now. You're helped by everyone else in your division is limping at best too. But let's not count our chickens before they hatch. So that's just a little crazy. Because honestly, I'll ask you right now: Bengals, Steelers, Ravens. Who do you think the best team is right now?
Cincinnati.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're the best team now. They're at the biggest deficit in terms of what they have to do to make it. But I think they're playing the best football right now out of the bunch.
Yeah, Cincinnati's going to need, and we'll talk about them in our next game, Pittsburgh to go 2-2, and then Cincinnati's got to win out. Cincinnati, we'll talk about them. They have the opportunity to do it. But the big swing game in all of this is going to be Pittsburgh playing the Miami Dolphins this coming weekend. Sorry, Pittsburgh has to go 2-2 to win the division. If they, because they'll get to 9-8.
Sure.
Cincinnati's already got the 9 losses. So if they go 1-3, Cincinnati, if they get to 8-9, Cincinnati will own the tiebreaker. So Pittsburgh has to find 2 wins in the next 4 weeks. And the swing game and all of that, I would argue, is this Monday night when Tua has to come up there to Pittsburgh and play in the cold weather, and it's Mike McDaniels, and they're also hot right now. The Fins up, 7 losses and 6 wins. That is a swing game. If they win that game, they will play at Cleveland, and that should be your 2 wins, because it looks like 2 losses at Detroit, and then the final week, if Baltimore were to come to play and beat you in Pittsburgh, they just got to find 2 wins, and they will win the division, pretty much guaranteed, unless Baltimore runs the table somehow against New England and Green Bay and Cincinnati and Pittsburgh again.
Yeah.
Which I just don't expect.
No, I agree.
So right now it's Pittsburgh's division to lose, which is
Wild.
phenomenal.
Somehow, some way, they're always in
Somehow.
this spot, man.
9-8, and they're going to win the division with Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, and Baltimore and Lamar Jackson there.
Yeah.
And Shador and the Cleveland Browns. They're up next.
Their participation spot.
Yes.
We can move on. Talking about
Talking
Joe
about
Burrow.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, talking about Cincinnati. Cincinnati, the Bengals traveled to Buffalo to face the Bills and Josh Allen Sunday afternoon, and it was a great game. The Bills ended up winning 39-34, but they're dueling. They're trading punches, they being the teams, but also just Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. But there was that span where Burrow throws a pick 6 and then comes right back and throws another pick, and that kind of felt like the turning point in the game. It went from, they're neck and neck, they're right there, to now the Bengals really, truly have to play catch-up. And with that defense, it's not really a spot you want to be where you have to play catch-up. Thoughts on this game?
Well, if I told you 73 points were going to be scored in this game, it may not shock you, but then what if I told you it was in a blizzard? It was snowing the entire game.
Yeah.
And yet these offenses were just going up and down the field. Cincinnati scores touchdowns on their first 3 drives. And then Josh Allen was phenomenal, especially in the fourth quarter. They scored 21 points as a team in the fourth.
And what's the Josh Allen stat you always talk about?
Josh Allen, when he doesn't have 2 turnovers, wins. When he does have 2 turnovers, he loses. He has no picks. And James Cook ends up having the fumble in this game. That's the only turnover for Buffalo. Josh Allen was Superman, really, again. And that is going to be their formula for winning games in the postseason. It's either going to be James Cook cooks, runs up and down the field, or Josh Allen is Superman. Their defense, I don't think is going to be able to get enough done. I think they're going to have to score in the 30s pretty much every single time. But if you trust anyone to potentially do it 3 times and make the Super Bowl, it's Buffalo. And against the teams they're going to play, it has already become clear that it is going to be a no excuses postseason for Buffalo.
Yeah.
You have to reach the Super Bowl regardless of who you play, unless Josh Allen gets hurt. We knock on wood that doesn't happen. But they were incredible. And all hats off for them capitalizing on the huge plays in this game, because Joe Burrow was absolutely phenomenal, and T. Higgins was great, and Jamar Chase and Mike Gesicki were great in this game. But the turning point in the game is, sadly, 2 plays from Joe Burrow. The pick that turns into a pick 6, and then the very next play getting bad at the line and it ends up being a pick. That is what is the difference. And I feel bad for Joe Burrow, because the team could not win games without him. And if they had just had him for much of the season, they would have won a lot more games this year. They're probably still in a similar argument of maybe they're just looking at 7-6. There wouldn't be 9-4 or anything crazy like that, but they'd be in a lot better spot. That being said, don't punt on Cincinnati. They have a very plausible route. They're going to need Steelers to go 1-3, and then they've got to win out hosting Baltimore, at Miami, the Cardinals and Browns both at home the last 4 weeks. They should finish 8-9. They just need they need Pittsburgh to finish 8-9 as well, and they can somehow win the division, and we can get this game again. Buffalo going to Cincinnati in the first round of the postseason. This was also a treat to watch. What an electric just window of electric Sunday of games.
It was a great Sunday.
Great Sunday of football games, and to see Joe Burr and Josh Allen play against each other in the snow once again, it was incredible. The throw to Josh Allen makes it Khalil Shakir absolutely dirty. The throws Joe Burrow was making throughout the day were just phenomenal. The catch by T. Higgins after the 2 picks to put them back in a tough spot. And then Josh Allen picks up a 3rd and 15 to win the game. Just Superman plays from both sides. What a treat to watch, and I hope we get to see it in the postseason again.
Yeah, it kind of feels like we deserve to see it in the postseason because if the Bengals don't make it, and the way it could shake out, it really is the AFC is Josh Allen and then a bunch of kind of new faces, which it's always fun to have some new faces. But I like the heavyweight clashes, and the AFC will definitely be missing that, or most likely missing that with no Mahomes, no Burrow, no Lamar Jackson. If that works out, like that is nuts. I could not have sat here and predicted that preseason. No one could have. I would have called you insane if you tried to.
Everyone preseason just felt like it was going to be, and I'm not. This is not me like tooting my horn that, I was correct because I had it too. Everyone thought it was going to be, Baltimore probably competes for the 1 seed, probably wins 15 games. Buffalo, if it's not Baltimore, Buffalo wins the 1 seed. Okay, well, if it's not them two, it's Kansas City. And those are the 3 division winners without a doubt. No, and the AFC South is bad. Houston wins it. None of those 4 teams right now are favorites to win their division.
Nuts.
With 3 weeks to go. So it is absolutely incredible. Or 4 weeks to go. It's absolutely insane what has happened and flipped for the AFC this year. For the conference that felt like it was going to be the easiest to predict and had the best odds for each team to repeat as division champs, it is completely flipped on its head.
Sorry, I had to yawn. Shall we move on?
Yes, we move on now.
To the totem pole.
To the totem pole.
You just put up the blank. I don't think there's a totem pole graphic
Heard.
yet. This is week 2 of the totem pole. There's been some sizable movement here and there, but I'll work through all 32 teams and try my best to not lose my breath. The Commanders come in last on the totem pole. No faith in them to compete in games after what I just saw on Sunday. And then considering the Titans won, I had to bump the Titans up from the last spot. So I have the Commanders all the way down at 32. There's probably some bias and frustration in that pick, but I don't care. You can't lose 31-0 in the NFL. You just simply cannot. I'm going to spend a little longer on the Commanders because they're my team and I'm so infuriated. They have lost 8 straight since the first one being the Bears loss, where you lose by 1. Then you lose by 20 to the Cowboys. You lose by 20 to the Chiefs. You lose by 20-plus to the Seahawks. You lose by 20-plus to the Lions. Congrats, you go to overtime against the Dolphins. They're not very good. Oh, congrats, you go to the overtime against the Broncos. And Broncos, that's not at all a good look for you, by the way. It's a terrible look because then after that, you turn around and you lose by 30-plus to the Vikings. That's not really supposed to happen in the NFL. We always talk about how it's a parity league. Even bad teams keep it close. The Commanders really, for the large portion of this streak, have not been doing that. And so they're at last on the totem pole. Now we can move on. Titans are at 31. Big win for them against the Browns, but I don't really think they're that good of a team. I think that was kind of a one-off victory. Now I say that after I sat here last week and said I don't expect them to win another game. So that's on me. Raiders here at 30. Kept it close against the Broncos. Again, Broncos, not at all a good look for you. What are we doing? Maybe, go try and put together some impressive performances if you don't want to be called frauds. But Raiders are at 30. Giants are at 29. I don't have tons to say about the bottom of this list. It's just a lot of not good teams. Because the Jets are at 28, another not good team. You don't put up at all a good performance. You get beat pretty bad yet again. You're kind of like the Commanders as well, honestly, of just like you just get blown out a lot more than an NFL team should, and it's not a good look. The only benefit you get over the Commanders is you sold all your good players. You're actively trying to get blown out. So congrats, I guess. Taking a breath. Falcons are at 27. Crazy that they're here at this point after you kind of make an all-in move, getting James Pierce, who's been good. The offense is just terrible. It's not good. Just an absolute malpractice to have Bijan Robinson be in this offense. It's just insane. He's too good for this. Free him, I would say. But man, Falcons at 27, Cardinals at 26. Michael Wilson is kind of in the highlight and the one bright spot for this team. But you're just still not very good. You don't know who you're going to have at quarterback moving forward. It's a terrible spot to be in. Browns at 25. How do you lose that game? What kind of defensive performance is that? At the same time, though, I don't drop you very far because I still believe that's a very good defense, and Shadur did look really good. So it's honestly better for you that the offense showed some life because you expect the defense to bounce back from that performance. Vikings at 24, shout out 9, a great bounce back performance coming back from his concussion. Leads the team to 31 points. That was the easiest 31 points I've ever seen someone score on an NFL defense. The Commanders are that bad. Still, though, he went out and did it, and most people thought he couldn't, so shout out to him. Saints at 23. It's a huge win. They move up because of it. Tyler Shuck is looking like he can. Really, he maybe has already proven it, but you'd like to see a little bigger of a sample size to prove that he's a franchise QB. The Saints would be ecstatic if that's the case. I know JP would be very happy with that. It makes this upcoming draft a lot simpler. It's the most important position in football. Figuring that out is huge. And beating a division rival while doing so makes it feel even better.
Agree with all that.
Dolphins are at 22. They're heating up. They're 6 in the number higher than 6. Their record is. Their run offense has been phenomenal. Devon Achane, even Jalen Wright was getting going. I think he was actually the leading rusher. Yes, it was the Jets, but a win is a win is a win, especially when you're the Dolphins, and they're looking to make some noise as like a spoiler at this point. Panthers are at 21, playing pretty good ball. They didn't play this past week. They're on a bye, so they didn't really move much. Chiefs are at 20 and saying they're down here, but they just can't win games, and this is kind of where teams that can't win games find themselves. That's the bottom third of the totem pole. Bucks are 19, similar to the Chiefs. You can't win games right now, so you're not going to be very high on the totem pole. You're really banged up, but that doesn't get factored into the totem pole. It's a current representation of how good your team is right now. Hey, a similar theme here. The Ravens are 18. Another team that feels like they should be better, like the Chiefs and the Bucks, but you're not winning games right now. Lamar Jackson does not look good. The defense is just so-so, and so because of that, you find yourself at 18th on the totem pole. Steelers are at 17. Just kind of a mid-team. They find their way to win a lot of games. I love Aaron Rodgers, but the defense isn't very good. The offense struggles a lot. Congrats to, you get congrats for finding your way to wins, but I don't really think you're all that good. The Bengals are at 16. They're the highest of the AFC North teams, even though they have the third best record in the AFC North. But with Joe Burrow being back, it completely changes that team. I think they're playing the best ball in that division right now. Chargers are at 15. They're so banged up. They found a big win on Monday night. I still think that defense plays with a lot of fight, and it kind of keeps them to be an average team, and Omer and Hampton coming back is a huge boost. But because of those offensive line issues, you're not going to be much higher than this for the rest of the season, I'd imagine. Excuse me, take another breath. Cowboys are at 14. The offense has been phenomenal recently, and the defense has gotten better. Tough loss against the Lions, but I think you put up a good fight, so I'm not really going to drop you for it. Colts are at 13. They've fallen a lot, and they're probably going to continue to fall more. I considered dropping them more, but I figured I'd give them a week without Daniel Jones to see how it looks and if they can show fight before I truly plummet them down the totem pole. Lions are at 12. Big win. You needed it to really feel good about your position in the playoffs, especially since it was a team that was fighting for one of those spots that you're fighting for. They're still a little inconsistent, but for now you can be at 12 on the totem pole, one spot behind the Eagles, who are at 11. Defense is still playing well, but that offense is very dysfunctional right now, and there's so many questions to be asked. Texans are at 10. The defense is phenomenal. It's so fun to watch, and the offense is getting just a little bit better for me to trust them to do enough, maybe get like 1 or 2 touchdown drives a game, which is all they need to win games because that defense is so good. So they're at 10. The Broncos are at 9, kind of similar to the Texans. The defense is very good, but that offense I'm still just not a fan of at all. Inconsistent performances from Bo Nix. He has some really good ones. They don't have some really bad ones.
Same thing for the rushing attack. Some good performances and some bad performances. And the defense as well. I think it's a really good defense, but they've had some tough performances as well. They're not the most consistent bunch. Kind of different from the Texans, where I always trust them to go out and shut down the other team. The Jaguars are at 8. Insane that they're this high, but they just keep winning games. They keep doing enough. Trevor Etienne becoming like kind of a workhorse back has been a very nice development considering his injury history, and that has just really helped the offense find consistency, is trusting him to have 15 to 20 carries and 80 to 100 yards and a touchdown just about every week. That's massive. 49ers are at 7. Not much to say. They did not play, but when they do play, they find ways to win games despite the injuries. That's why they're at 7. The Bears are at 6. They dropped 1 spot from 5, put up a huge fight. The only reason they really dropped is because the Packers were 6 and the Packers beat them, so I just flipped them. But the Bears are at 6. Like I said, the Packers are at 5. Jordan Love has looked a whole lot better. That offense has looked a whole lot better. Pair that with the great weapons they have defensively, is a top 5 team in my opinion. Bills are at 4. Way to fight off the Bengals and Joe Burrow. Snowy game. Josh Allen looked phenomenal. You have to love that if you're a Bills fan. The fact that he can go out and give that kind of performance. High-stakes game against kind of like a rival in Joe Burrow. Love to see that moxie from him. Top 3. Seahawks are 3. They went up and beat. I don't even remember. They beat the Falcons. They killed the Falcons. So you don't really get much credit for killing the Falcons. The Falcons can't win games. But you're also not going to get dropped for doing what you're supposed to do. So they stay at 3. Patriots still at 2. They didn't play anyone, so they weren't going to move. And then the Rams beat up on the Cardinals, so they're still top of the totem pole. That's the list. My goodness, I got to figure out a way to control my breath better. It's like it's a really good exercise, honestly. As someone that does have really poor breath control, who likes to breathe through his mouth a lot, it's like it's a good exercise, good conditioning in that regard. Something to work on.
It's not as easy as you would think. It was something that I had to learn when I started doing choir in high school.
Sure.
Breath control, singing a note for 8 counts, 12 counts, and it is no different than when trying to speak into a microphone as well. You try to talk slower, but you don't try to talk at a sloth pace.
Yeah,
sloth pace.
You also have to like take your breath. You can't take a massive breath because then the microphone will pick up on it. So it's a weird spot to be in.
It is something as well that in choir that you don't try to breathe really big through your mouth. When you're breathing, it was something that we were taught where you're not trying not to raise your shoulders when you're breathing, because you will, for one, look funny, and then that makes more noise. So you try to learn how to breathe with keeping your shoulders steady. So you look more professional, and also it's a quieter way to breathe. Something I had no clue even existed, but it's something you learn in choir, or something I learned in choir. And then also, you get better at it with time, and you'll get there with the longer segments.
I also think I need to schedule a ENT appointment. I'm pretty sure I have a deviated septum, which will not help that at all.
No, not even.
It makes it a lot
close.
more tough.
We loved this last week's totem pole was 8 and 6, and this week's totem pole there's a few huge movers. The biggest one that really comes to mind is the Washington Commanders. Of course, Washington moves a 4-point movement from last week in terms of our power rating, which is a massive move from Washington. They're by far the biggest mover this week, dropping all the way down to the worst team on the poll, at the bottom of the poll, one might say.
There really shouldn't be a ton of big movers, because even though it's only the second week of the totem pole, I'm doing it based on the whole season. And so there's like a lot of data points, whereas like it's not like this is when the pyramid was in week 2 and there was a lot of big movers.
Yeah.
It should stay a lot steadier.
And quickly looking at a few of the spreads out there, totem pole is not really in a big disagreement on a ton of ones. There's a few big ones, but we've already correctly guessed the spread on 2 games. They have the exact same spread that Vegas has with our totem pole calculations, and so we'll see how that looks on Thursday when we're picking games. But right now, it is not looking too shabby, and we'll see how now the pyramid looks. The pyramid last week went 9-5, which we're not trying to have a rivalry here, but everything is a competition at the end of the day.
Of course.
But these are two models. We hope that you decide which one you want to use. By all means, I'm full. Go ahead and use a totem pole. I don't mind. But the pyramid so far this year, last week was 9-5. We are 68-61 when picking just games coming from teams only on the pyramid. When picking graveyard teams as well, we are now 95-81, which is a 53.98% correct picks against the spread. That is 2% profitable. It's 52.5, give or take, is roughly the percentage you need to be profitable, given the VIG that is in spread bets that are on a -110 average. So we have a profitable pyramid. Last week, if 8-6 is 58%, give or take. So if we go 8-6 every week on the totem pole, we'll have a profitable totem pole as well,
Which would be huge.
That'll be
Is there any way
massive.
real quick to look back at last week and see how the totem pole pyramid double guarantee did?
Oh, that's a good question.
If there's not a way to do it quick, we can just table that for next week. But I'm curious if you kind of worked both, and if you were looking to make picks
Okay,
based
so
off that, how it doubled up.
The totem pole, I'll go just on the ones that the pyramid picked on pyramid teams and not
Yes.
graveyard
Yeah, do
teams.
that.
We both picked Dallas +3. We were both wrong there, sadly. We
Dang.
both picked, though, Jacksonville +1.5. We were both correct there. We both picked Pittsburgh +6. So 2-1 on double guarantee. We both had Chicago +6.5, 3-1. We both had Houston +3.5, 4-1, and we both had the Chargers. So on double guarantees, the totem pole didn't disagree with any of the pyramid's picks from teams that were on the pyramid, and so we double guarantee went 5-1.
Hey, that's pretty good.
That's a really good trend to potentially see down the line.
We'll see if that continues or not.
5-1. That's an amazing week if you're going picking spreads. That's awesome. I can't wait to see how it looks this week and see if that's not just a one-off and that could become a coincidence and then hopefully a trend. But we'll go
Sure.
now to the pyramid, and we'll start with the graveyard. There are no new graveyard teams, I should say. All these teams are still here, even the Vikings with 9 returning. There were rumblings from the Shaman last week about a team that has been in the graveyard since week 11. Been a while that they've been in the graveyard, and they had an incredible performance on Thanksgiving, and then they were right there on Sunday, and it looked like the Shaman was really gonna push my hand and force me to bring a team out of the grave, up and back into the earth and back on the pyramid, and it was looking really, really close. And then 2 plays in a row ended it. And sadly, the Shaman no longer has those rumblings. While we got that game technically correct, Cincinnati's going to stay in the graveyard with their
Sure.
loss this weekend to the Buffalo Bills. So we'll move to the teams left off, and there's one team left off this week. And this is, it's sad to say this, but the Indianapolis Colts are now off the pyramid. There were rumblings earlier in the season, not from the Shaman, but from viewers of this channel, of why aren't Indy being moved up higher? And sadly, the last 3 weeks have shown that they never deserve that kind of praise that teams like Seattle and Los Angeles and even Tampa Bay at one point in this season has gotten. And sadly, Indy is left off. Without Daniel Jones and his Achilles injury and the idea of them potentially starting Riley Leonard, which I'm fine with, although he did not play well against Jacksonville when he came in. Why would he? Or 44-year-old Phillip Rivers, who hasn't played since the COVID season in the NFL.
I should have brought this up. How is that their pivot? How do you go, well, okay, if Riley Leonard can't go, we're going to go with Phillip Rivers.
They don't like the market, I guess.
And
they want to go with the connection that Steichen and Phillip have, because it's kind of on short notice. I don't think they didn't really exactly know that Riley might not be able to play on Sunday until
True.
Monday.
True.
And so you're just on short notice, and there's no like Baker Mayfield out there that you could pick up. So I don't know. Look, I haven't played a Madden franchise this year, and Chrome, if you're still in the chat, you might know who are the free agent quarterbacks right now, like the highest ones on Madden. I really don't know off the top of my head who would even really be high at that list, because like guys like Carson Wentz and Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson are on rosters. So the quarterbacks that are like bad are on rosters right now, and even quarterbacks that have started for them are on rosters right now. Look,
Taylor Heineke. You could pick Taylor Heineke.
that was suggested by I think PFT Commander threw that one out there.
This claims, I don't know how accurate this is, but the best quarterback free agents, Nate Sudfeld. I don't even know who that is. I'm going to be honest.
He started a game before.
Taylor Heineke, Clayton Tune, Houston Cougar legend, Clayton
Sheesh.
Tune, Dorian Thompson-Robinson,
Maybe.
Tim Boyle, UVA legend, Bryce Perkins, Logan Woodside, and Desmond Ritter.
Okay, so maybe look, Phillip Rivers. I don't know if that was the first option. I heard people suggest Matt Ryan, but Matt Ryan never played for Shane Steichen, so
Sure.
he wouldn't be there. And Matt Ryan also has a big TV deal, and he works with CBS on their game day crew,
He's good.
and he's been good. So I don't think he wants to leave. People have suggested Tom Brady, but Brady legally can't because he's a minority owner of the Raiders, and now he cannot play in the NFL anymore. And also, he loves his job at Fox. So it's going to be Phillip, and if he starts on Sunday, it'll be a spectacle to see, and I can't wait. I hope he gets to.
Do you think all 13 of his kids will be in attendance?
That's going to be a hard travel to get them out to Seattle.
And like some of them have adult lives at
Yes,
this point.
Phillip's a grandfather, as you pointed out
Correct.
earlier on the show. So grandfather Phillip Rivers might start on Sunday. I would imagine it's going to be Riley Leonard, but we'll see. But they're left off. Indy's left off with the Daniel Jones injury. They deserve to be left off the pyramid. They're not on graveyard watch yet because I do want to see what Riley or Phillip look like, and I'll probably give them 2 weeks, and then we're probably moving them into the graveyard. But it is sad to see that they've even fallen this far, given where they were when they were 8-2. Now we move to Tier 6, and there is no movement, and this will be a common theme this week. No movement. Pittsburgh stays, San Francisco stays, Tampa Bay stays, even after the loss to the New Orleans Saints. Carolina and San Francisco were both on bye, and then Pittsburgh got the big win over Baltimore. But I feel still the same about the two teams, that could potentially be a fluke too. We didn't mention it in the game, and I'm sad that we didn't. But the Isaiah Likely touchdown, if that's just officiated differently, if
True.
they don't overturn it, which, look, personally, I don't think it was a catch. But I also do think if you're going to rule that touchdown the field, I don't think that's enough to overturn.
Yeah.
Even though I do think it's not a catch. But I don't think it's inconclusive evidence that it is not a touchdown. Ravens would have had the lead. They would have won that game. I don't think Aaron Rodgers was going to lead the game-winning drive in Baltimore. So Pittsburgh's going to stay where they're at, and Baltimore's also going to stay where they're at, just above them on Tier 5. And the team that's replacing Indianapolis on Tier 5 are the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are now 9-4. And so now it's Jacksonville, Detroit, the Chargers, after their ugly win. But a win is a win is a win over the Philadelphia Eagles because they were uglier that night. And the Dallas Cowboys are sitting here. Even Dallas, after the loss to Detroit, you could say, hey, maybe they shouldn't be on the same spot. I kind of disagree. I think that game turned on its head on 2 plays, really. We didn't talk about that game earlier, but that game really turned on its head in 2 different plays. And I have said this week after week with Detroit, you can't expect consistent offensive performances. So even if they play Dallas again this Sunday, I would not guarantee that they would have the offensive performance they had on Thursday. So they are going to stay. They can't raise higher up the pyramid until you see consistent offensive performance. I talked about this earlier this year with this team as well. They have a high ceiling where they are the best team in the NFL. but they have not shown that ceiling week after week after week, and they don't win in ugly games either. They are either winning by just unstoppable offense, or they're not having consistent enough offensive play, and it ends up costing them. So they're staying where they're at on tier 6, or tier 5, I should say, even after their performance on Thursday, where Jahmyr Gibbs and that offense was really electric. To tier 4, no movement. Common theme. Chicago and Houston moved up last week, and I like those two move-ups, and they did well for us, both the totem pole and the pyramid, and in best bets. Chicago plus 6.5 covered. Best bets went 3-0, 2 3-0 weeks in a row, thanks to the pyramid. When the pyramid continues to hand out winners, it's really hard to move teams. So Chicago's going to stay where they're at with their performance against the Green Bay Packers. And then the Houston Texans are going to stay where they're at after an impressive performance in Kansas City this weekend. Denver's going to stay where they're at, and Kansas City as well. You have Mahomes. I don't think you can move lower than tier 4, even with how bad the team is playing. Tier 3, no movement. Buffalo was phenomenal with Josh Allen. Green Bay was phenomenal against the Chicago Bears. And I think some could argue that Philly could drop, but who are you going to replace them with? I think that's where you get in a really, really tough spot. Maybe
Fair.
Houston, but their offense wasn't even that great against Kansas City. Kansas City kind of handed them that game. Their defense continues to be phenomenal, but it's hard to move them over Philly. Chicago, maybe you could argue, but I just still think people think Chicago is fraudulent. And, of course, Denver. Everyone thinks Denver's fraudulent. I think Denver makes the most compelling case, but I'm going to leave the Super Bowl champs on tier 3 and not drop them. Again, tier 2, no movement, and I'll go and reveal tier 1. No movement as well. New England, Seattle stay where they're at. New England was on a bye. And then the Rams and Seattle both blew out teams on the road. Los
Handled
Angeles
business.
and Arizona. And then Seattle, it didn't look great for the first half, but that's Atlanta Falcons football for you. Give you false hope and then just get absolutely punched in the mouth.
Sure.
I don't feel bad for y'all, Atlanta. Sorry.
Yeah.
I say sorry after I say I don't feel bad. Sorry for not feeling bad.
I think that's what you meant. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry
okay.
for not feeling bad.
But that is the pyramid for week 15. And only one team moved and one team dropped. So any debates?
I think I would have dropped Baltimore down a tier into tier 6.
Yeah.
But small gripe. That's really it. I like the rest of it.
That's
and
fair.
like you said, it's performing well, so it's hard to want to shift things around.
Yeah.
And as there's more and more data points, there should be less and less movement. Now it does get interesting because all the buys are over, so all these teams will be playing every week from here on out. So we'll see if that maybe creates more movement. But I like it. Good job.
Well, that closes out our pyramid. We don't have college football games to pick, but I guess we can
Let's go look at the NFL
pick
slate.
our NFL games.
The question is, are we going to preview more than 3, considering we don't have college football games to preview, or are we just going to stick with 3?
I'd honestly, personally, I would maybe if there's a 4th game that's compelling, we can pick a 4th.
But don't force it. I like
But
that.
I would say 3 and don't force it, and then we can talk about other things college football-wise on
Sure.
Thursday's show.
I'm down.
So Bills, Patriots, Buffalo goes to New England.
Yeah, I like. That's a must. That's the game of the weekend.
Green Bay goes to Denver,
I think we do that game.
and then it's a pick 'em between Lions in Los Angeles or Chargers in Kansas City or the Ravens in Cincinnati. Personally, unless you want to do Dolphins, Steelers.
I think I'd want to do Lions Rams out of all the ones you just said.
Fine by me.
I just we've talked about the Chiefs so much, and I have no desire to talk about them again. And then I don't remember the other game you said. Oh, Steelers Browns. No,
sorry.
Ravens Bengals.
Yeah, Ravens
What the
Bengals.
Stephen Browns aren't even. Disregard. Yeah, I think I'd go with Lions Rams. And
I
then
bet.
talk about other stuff on Thursday's show. And speaking of Thursday's show, we hope to see you there. Thanks to anyone who tuned in for this episode. Our shortest in probably a long time, if I had to imagine.
Yeah.
Well done, us. But yeah, if you tuned in, greatly appreciate it. If you're still here at this point in the video, live stream, recording, whatever, drop a like, subscribe. helps us out. Means a lot. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we hope to see you Thursday for the NFL preview show and college football thrown in. It's not really a college football preview show. I don't really know what to call it. College
Yeah.
football talk.
We're gonna talk.
Yeah, we're going to talk. That's one thing we know we can do. We can talk. See y'all there. Peace.